If you'd like to purchase Magic Online cards with event tickets while logged in on Magic Online, look at Mtgo Academy's selection by trading our official bot, Academy Sellbot. You can find it in the Magic Online trading area or add it to your buddy list.
Time for round 2 on the draw with a pretty sweet mono black control hand. Definitely keeping that. I don't have the island, but that's going to come sooner or later. Also like to be on the draw in these kind of spots with a deck that has cards like that. And of course Drawn in Sorrow could actually be very good if my opponent is in fact a blue-white heroic deck, maybe with all the good white cards that I've seen. So here I don't want to run out the Shipwreck Singer anyway, because I want to Drown in Sorrow. And I can always run out the Black Oak and play the island then. For now my opponent doesn't need to know that I have islands in my deck. And I'm forced to kill this Ringsteed Rider immediately. I can't afford to let it live. So the question is if I want to untap and Drown in Sorrow it, or if I just Furika's Cure. I think Furika's Cure is the right call here. Drown in Sorrow just has the potential to be better if the game goes longer. It does mean that I'm forced to hold back the Shipwreck Singer for a little bit. But white-blue has a lot of cheap guys that die to Drown in Sorrow, so I really want to keep it and hopefully get some value with that. Oh, my opponent is getting some value of his own. I'm drawing pretty well here with the 1-4 is kind of the 1-4, the 1-3 being exactly what I want. Not that they will necessarily beat my opponent down, but they aren't dying to Drown in Sorrow, which is something that I actively wanted to make sure. And Ravecrush Triton gives me a nice way of playing around troublesome creatures if I ever draw, for example, a Baleful Eidolon. So now I just have to hope that my opponent doesn't go super big with cards like Ornitharch or Horizon Scholar. That would make my Drown in Sorrow look a bit worse. I also have the Black Oak Servant combo, so even if I don't get to drown next turn, I can just cast the Black Oak. Oh, interesting. That could be a Breaching Hippocamp. We saw quite a few of them. So the question is if I can afford to attack with Servant of Timuret. I really don't want to be forced to regenerate against a random 3/2 flash creature. Because I passed so many of them, I think it's better not to attack with the Servant. And Grim Guardian doesn't add much to the board. I'm just gonna run out the Black Oak here, see if that resolves. And if it does, I'm just passing the turn. If the opponent doesn't use his mana on turn 5 after having drawn 2 cards, then I'm also very happy with how things have gone. So far so good. Breaching Hippocamp is not an issue. Also my opponent started strong and then played a couple of cards that have been pretty lackluster. I think it might be time to cast Drown in Sorrow here. It might not get everything because this could easily get targeted. But also the Drown in Sorrow isn't going to get much better, and I want the Triton Fortune Hunter gone. Even drawing an island here. See if that resolves, or if my opponent has a trick to save the Fortune Hunter. Alright, Rise of Eagles. I think I just keep that. Rise of Eagles is not something I can cast, but which I really want to draw. Getting in for 0 here just to trigger Inspired. And then the Shipwreck Singer to round it up. I will also get 2 triggers from the Eagles with the Grim Guardian. And I can cast Lash of the Rip next turn, so I can actually use my mana very well. Or hold open mana for Shipwreck Singer. A lot of options there. That's not a problem at all. Happy for my opponent to have that. I could use the Shipwreck Singer to force this to attack next turn, which I can do whether or not the Singer is tapped. So I think the correct play is just to get in for damage. And then cast Grim Guardian after combat. Draining my opponent. For 1 again. I'm easily winning the race here, 14 to 24. And now, whatever I draw, I'm going to be quite happy about it. Which is kind of the best position to be in. This deck doesn't look amazing at all. I was afraid of the Wingseed Rider, Dauntless Onslaught, Phalanx Leader, crazy heroic deck, but this doesn't seem to be it. Alright. So the Outseeds aren't going to take any damage this turn. I could still force them to attack, but it might be safer just to not do that. If my opponent wants to hold this back on defense, I think I'm fine. Let's see. Grim Guardian gets revoked and my opponent has a 3/5, so that means I don't need to activate Black Oak, but I can force the Harvest Guards to attack. Don't think that my opponent should have cast the Revoke Existence that early, although on the other hand, with the 1/4 in play, I always would have forced this to attack. So yeah, doesn't really make a difference. And I drew a land. I don't have the Grim Guardian anymore, but the Rise of the Eagles is still a great play here. And Oracle's Insight I will also keep. Yeah, this game is going absolutely according to plan. Great Verika's Cure, great Drown in Sorrow, great creatures all around. And my opponent has a random 3/5. Arbiter of the Ideal. So now things get a little more interesting. I think what I want to do here is just Oracle's Insight it down and attack my opponent again, because that should win me the game in the long run, and I want to cast Oracle's Insight anyway. Now this does have an ability, but I think that it's probably not going to be fast enough to matter. I might also be able to force the Harvest Guards to attack next turn again. It's not better to attack with these two though. Yeah, that doesn't really work out. So I want to be using this to draw a card anyway. Because of Excoriate, I think I'm just waiting with the activation until next turn. And here I'm getting in with these three. Now that I think about it, I kind of want the black mana to tap this, and I want the 2 blue to force this to attack. So I probably should be drawing this turn instead. Even if my opponent has Excoriate, I think I'm pretty much guaranteed to win, because of the mana it would cost to play. Alright, Baleful Eidolon. Could just run that out as a damage source, but it's not really doing much for me. I'll try to find the land. That would be even better. Oh wait, Baleful Idol even triggers this. Yeah, I'll keep it. I'll keep it on top, but I'll not play anything. And now the Arbiter stays tapped. I have a tapped Wave Crash Triton, but I'm winning if my opponent casts Excoriate. And I'm leaving up the mana to activate the Servant again. With the Baleful Eidolon in hand, I can tap down any flyer that my opponent plays. And that should probably be lethal, with this bringing my opponent already down to 3. Alright, that worked out. So, Arbiter of the Ideal. Well, I have the Deserter's Quarters, which I kind of like in that spot. Every card I had was really good, so I'm not sure if I really want to change up anything. Breaching Hippocamp, not a big problem. None of these cards are really exciting. Annul is always playable, but my opponent hasn't really shown anything that makes me really want the Annul. Clearly there were targets, but none of them were absolutely amazing or cards that I really needed to deal with. Drowning Soul is going to get a bit worse now that my opponent knows about it, which I'm fine with. And the Black Oak of Adunus wasn't really great. I could see running Triton Fortune Hunter instead to be a bit more proactive, but that's not really how my deck operates, how my deck wants to operate. As long as I don't lose to the 6-drop, I think I'm in a pretty good spot. As expected, I'm on the draw, and I think I'm actually keeping this. I have 2 draws towards lands, and then I have a pretty good curve. I only need a single land, and then I'm totally in the game. Don't think that you need to mulligan this in an 18 land deck. And the good fortune continues. Not a swamp, but the land that I wanted. So this is the Phalanx Leader deck. Swamp? No. So now I'm basically only looking for swamps. Interpret the Signs as an easy bottom. Swamp stays on top. And I could even try to Shipwreck Singer to get the Phalanx Leader off the table, depending on what happens here. Of course, at some point it's going to be dangerous. Okay, no attacks here. No plays either? That's probably not likely. Oh well, no attacks. No plays. Alright, so Servant of Timorite and Nyxborn right now fine, but Shipwreck Singer puts on the most pressure. I want my opponent to be really afraid of something going awfully wrong, because I have the Shipwreck Singer in play. Could have cast the Servant. Having the Servant and putting Oracle's Insight on it is kind of cute. But I am facing a white-blue deck that could easily have a lot of trouble against Shipwreck Singer, so... (3/4) leader looks like a job for Pin to the Earth here. But I can also just take a bit of damage. If the leader isn't pumping anybody else, then I'm fine. Disciple of Deceit and Oracle's Insight is also a pretty sweet combo. So the question is, do I Pin to the Earth because I just want time to buy some time? And I think the answer is yes. None of my creatures would be able to block the leader, and I don't want to just keep open Shipwreck Singer mana. That doesn't really make sense. So let's see if this is... Well, my opponent probably wouldn't show me the God's Willing right away, but instead cast it at end of turn. Alright, no God's Willing so far. And the Phalanx Leader at least won't be relevant until it's quite heavily pumped again. So the Pin to the Earth, kind of a 2-for-1, depending on how you want to count that. And the biggest question is if I want to just run out the Insight, maybe on the Omen Speaker, or if I'm more interested in getting one of my inspired creatures live first. which was kind of the question when I cast the Shipwreck Singer. No attacks, no plays once again. This looks like the Breaching Hippocamp once again. I'm gonna run out the Servant. I can take a hit from the Hippocamp, that's not a problem. I don't think I want to attack with Shipwreck Singer because it could also be Divine Verdict, and there's no need to give my opponent more options to use his mana if I'm the control deck anyway and just looking for lands. I also do want my opponent to spend his mana so that I can safely cast Oracle's Insight, but I'll have to see if that is an option or if I will just have to be patient. Alright, this is pretty embarrassing. That Pin to the Earth really doing a great job here. Still no lands though. Could attack with the Servant of Timuret just to see if that triggers a response. It's quite likely to just start draining here, and I would like that to happen. If my opponent is willing to spend tricks on me attacking with Servant of Timuret, I think I'm fine with that. And now, because I'm not drawing any lands ever, I'm also attacking with the Shipwreck Singer. Yeah, what can go wrong? My opponent could have Aerial Assault to take down the Singer or the Servant. If those are the cards in my opponent's hand, I think I'm fine. It's unlikely that there's going to be 2 targeting effects spent on the Phalanx Leader. And a single trick is also fine. Yeah, I mean, I'm getting a Dauntless Onslaught out of my opponent here, so I'm definitely not complaining. I think I should just regenerate, because the Servant is kind of my best guy here, and all the other cards are just like Servant replacements without the Inspired trigger. And I can even block Nyxborn Shieldmaid currently with Omen Speaker, if I want to do that. Alright, land number 7. I think I only need to survive here. It's 2 spells against my 6 spells. Now this has double strike. Alright. I'm not going to block it then. And this is just a 1/3. Alright, I can work with that. Still no lands. Wavecrash Titan pretty much ideal to battle against Nyxborn Shieldmaid. I would love to kill this, and that would probably mean casting Nyxborn Triton or being willing to block with Servant of Timuret. And then I'm kind of risking a bunch, which I don't really want to do. If I cast Wavecrash Triton, I could also triple block it, but that there's so many ways to just lose, and I don't think that this game I should give my opponent such an easy way to beat me. I also can't afford to just leave Shipwreck Singer up. I think that would just cost me too much tempo. So my plan is going to be casting Wavecrash Triton, because if I ever draw a land, then I can just Oracle's Insight the Triton, find more lands, and keep this lockdown, maybe a stronger card my opponent plays. Not blocking here. I don't want to just lose my Omen Speaker for no reason. And there's the land. So now there could be Breaching Hippocamp once again, as always. Not playing around that though. If my opponent has one of these 4 mana instants in white-blue, I kind of want him to cast it here, so that I know that my Wavecrash Triton is safe. I'm also losing this play to a bounce spell in response. But my opponent has drawn a single card, so I'm not too concerned. Alright, now that the insight is live, I think there shouldn't be much my opponent can do here. Isn't unlikely that there was a land drawn for my opponent. And we are just going off here. If I Baleful Idol on the Ravecrash Triton, the Nyxborn Shieldmate stays tapped and I pull further ahead. Could also put a Nyxborn Triton on it. But this is better. I think Death Touch is a pretty good way of holding off my opponent's plans of attacking. I'm playing around Excoriate a bit again. But to be honest, now that this game is so far in my favor, I think it should all work out. I'm also fine with drawing a bit more lands, given that I've pretty much locked down the one threat my opponent has. That was a bit hasty. I should have once again waited till after combat to see if there's any Breaching Hippocamp shenanigans. My opponent not the most fortunate draws. I put down a Drawn in Sorrow when scrying because it wouldn't have done anything here. From now on I'm just gonna put lands on the bottom. Farika's Cure. Not amazing, but it's a spell, so I'll just keep it. I think at this stage there isn't much that can go wrong. Silence the Believers is pretty sweet. So I could attack with Ravecrash Triton, forcing a chump block, but that, I don't even think I want that. It is a 4/8 Death Touch. But then my opponent blocks with Phalanx Leader. I'm not really getting closer to killing my opponent. I'm holding up Silence the Believers now. I can cast it on 2 targets. And yeah, that's not going to be enough for my opponent. Let's see, this creature is somewhat good, and then there is a 2/2 Triton Fortune Hunter. I'll just get rid of the Phalanx Leader simply because it's bestowed on. Alright, yeah, this was pretty dominating. Once I cast the Pin to the Earth, my opponent didn't really have anything else. It was Pin to the Earth, and then probably a draw of Phalanx Leader, double Shieldmate, and Dauntless Onslaught. That also developed very unfortunately. Oh well, good to see that my control plan is working out.